So Mr. Satya, molecular formula of compounds. Molecular formula of compounds. So for example, you want to write the formula of copper sulfate. Now already I've written the formula, but if I, let us say, ask you how to write the formula of magnesium sulfate, have you understood the question?
Yes, sir.
Now in this lecture we will study that how do I write the formula of magnesium sulfate? How do I write the formula of let us assume calcium sulfate? How do I write the formula of copper sulfate? Yeah, let us say copper carbonate. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Or let us say, how do I write the formula of magnesium nitrate? Now, as we start this lecture, all this will seem very tough to you. But by the time we finish this lecture, you will understand how the formulas are written, how these formulas are written. Mr. Satya, any doubt?
No, sir.
See, one thing that we need to understand is the critical thing that you need to understand before we start naming the compounds is, are you clear about the difference between ionic compounds and covalent compounds? Mr. Satya.
Sir, yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think means, are you clear or not?
Yeah, sir.
Yes, sir. So do you remember this lecture that we had done?
Yeah, sir.
Yeah. So in ionic compounds, there is a complete transference of electrons. But in covalent compounds, what does happen? There is only a sharing. Any doubt?
No, sir.
So for example, in H2, what will happen? There will only be sharing of electrons. Any doubt? Can you see the
No, sir.
screen? Can you see the
Yes,
screen?
sir.
So for example, if I tell you that N2 is a covalent compound, what will happen? The electrons will be
Sure, sir.
shabash. Now, if I tell you that, let us assume MgCl2. MgCl2, if I tell you is an ionic compound, what will happen? The electrons will be?
Sir, Mg and Cl will give electrons to each other.
Yes. Mg will completely transfer its two electrons to two atoms of chlorine. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
There would be complete transfer and complete acceptance. Are we very clear about this?
Yes, sir.
So if you still have any doubt, just go through this lecture again. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Now, why is it important? Because in this lecture, we'll be writing mostly the molecular formula of ionic compounds. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, before we start this lecture, what I need to tell you is that this lecture is as critical as is learning tables in mathematics. Have you understood what I've said?
Yes, sir.
So, for example, in your lower classes, maybe I think in second or third class, they tell you how to cram these tables. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
तो ऐसे पूरे आप tables याद करते हो ना?
Yeah.
So in maths, I think in second or third class, I don't remember, maybe in fourth class, they tell you to cram the tables. So similarly, in chemistry, this topic is as critical as cramming the tables in mathematics. Any doubt?
No, sir.
The fundamental things, sir, that we need to understand. You might have to look at this lecture again, maybe 2-3 times, and you'll have to practice a lot. I'll send you a few worksheets. Just go through those worksheets. So the
Okay, sir.
fundamental concept that we need to understand is what is a valency. What is a valency? So let us try to understand what is valency. Valency is the combining capacity of an element or a radical. What does combining capacity mean? Let us try to understand what is the combining capacity, because this naming the formula will start once we understand the concept of valency. So initially we'll focus on just the formulas of these first 20 elements. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
So let us take an example. Let us take a very simple example. Again, the most simplest examples are usually of sodium. So the electronic configuration is 281. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
We know that sodium wants to lose this electron to have a inert gas configuration. So it wants to become like this, Na positive. Are we clear about this?
Yes, sir.
So the combining capacity of sodium, the valency of sodium, this one that it wants to lose is the combining capacity. Mr. Satya, any doubt?
No, sir.
Let me take another example. So chlorine, the electronic configuration is 287. It wants one more electron. So whenever chlorine meets the world, whenever chlorine goes out into the world, it always wants to have one electron from anybody that it meets. Have you understood what I've said?
Yes, sir.
So its combining capacity would be 1. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Let us take a few more examples. Let us take example of calcium. So calcium, the configuration is 2882. What do you think would be the combining capacity of calcium?
So the 2 will be cut down in the last one. So
This would be the combining capacity or valency. Mr. Satya, any doubt?
no, sir.
We'll take a lot of examples. Whole of this molecular to understand the naming. The fundamental concept is valency. So don't worry. By the time the lecture ends, you'll understand what is valency. So let us take another example. Let us take example of let us say oxygen. So oxygen is the electronic configuration is 26. So what do you think would be the combining capacity or the valency of oxygen? What do you think? You can give a wrong answer also. It is absolutely okay.
Sir, I think 6 will be removed.
What do you think? For oxygen, when we were discussing ionic and covalent compounds, so what did usually oxygen used to do? Did it used to lose the 6 electrons, or did it used to get 2 electrons?
Sir, it gets 2 electrons.
Shabash. So whenever oxygen goes out into the world, what does it want? It wants 2 electrons. So what will be the combining capacity?
2,8.
2. Just a number. Just a single number.
Okay, sir. So, sir, how many electrons it needs is the answer.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
One way of looking at this is that how many electrons does okay, let me put it like this. How many electron do you want to give, take, share? Have you understood now?
Yes, sir.
Want to, whenever in an exam, either in MCQ or as a fill in the blanks, if they ask you the definition of valency, you'll write valency is the combining capacity of an atom, of an element or a radical. This is what is called a radical. I'll just tell you what is the meaning of radical. Don't worry about it. Have you understand how to find the combining capacity of an element? Have you understood this? Have you understood the concept?
Yes, sir.
So the first thing that you need to understand is, and the first thing that you need to remember is that we should be very clear about the valencies of the first 20 elements. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Lithium wants to give, beryllium wants to give, boron wants to give, sodium wants to give, magnesium wants to give, aluminum wants to give, potassium wants to give, calcium wants to give. So the valencies are obvious. Are you clear about this?
Yes, sir.
Helium doesn't want to give, neon doesn't want to give, argon doesn't want to give. So the valencies are 0. Are you clear about this?
Yes.
Nitrogen wants to take, oxygen wants to take, fluorine wants to take, phosphorus wants to take, sulfur wants to take, chlorine wants to take. Are you clear about this?
Yes, sir.
The peculiar thing about carbon is that carbon will prefer to share the 4 electrons. Any doubt?
No, sir.
If you remember, we had done methane, the structure of methane. Do you remember, sir?
No, sir.
भाई रिवाइज कर लेना ये लेक्चर नहीं समझा ये देखो.
Yes.
Can you see CH4?
Yes, sir.
So we have discussed this. I'll just tell you how it was done. So here was carbon. It had 4 electrons. Can you see these 4 electrons?
Yes, sir.
And then came hydrogen. Do you remember a bit?
Yes, sir. I remember.
तो आपको ये क्लियर होना चाहिए भाई. ये दोनों लेक्चर्स आपने रिवाइज करना है.
Okay, sir.
Any doubt?
No, sir.
Now, if you look at NH3, again N wants to share. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Wants to share. Any doubt?
No, sir.
So, any doubt till here?
No, sir.
So, are you comfortable with the concept of valency now?
Yes, sir.
See, one thing that you will understand in higher classes, and we'll do few examples, is that elements can have variable valencies. What it means is that in some situations, so for example, okay, are you clear about the first 20 elements?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let us understand what is a variable valency. So, can you see the PDF?
Yes.
So for example, copper has variable valency. So what it implies is that there are few instances where copper will give 1 electron and become Cu positive, and few examples in which copper will give 2 electrons and become Cu plus 2. Mr. Satya, any doubt?
No, sir.
Similarly, iron will have variable valency. In certain instances, it will give 2 electrons. In certain instances, it will give 3 electrons. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Have you understood what I've said?
Yes, sir.
So what I'm trying to tell you is that, so for example, if you meet sodium, if you meet calcium, if you meet magnesium, if you meet aluminium, they are very clear कि भैया हमारी जो valency है वो तो 1 है, मेरी valency 2 है, मेरी valency 2 है, मेरी valency 3 है. But if you meet iron will say यार मेरी तो variable valency है, कई बार मैं 2 होता हूँ और कई बार मैं 3 होता हूँ. उसी तरह जो copper है वो भी कहता है यार मेरी variable valency है, कई बार मैं 1 होता हूँ, कभी मैं 2 होता हूँ. Silver बोलेगा यार मेरी भी variable valency है, कभी मैं 1 होता हूँ, कभी मैं 2 होता हूँ. Have you understood what I've said?
Yes, sir.
And that is where the first difficulty arises. I'll keep telling you where do people get stuck, where do students get stuck. See, in the first 20 elements, at least you have the comfort that looking at the electronic configuration, you'll be able to find the valencies. But what happens in elements having variable valency is that it takes a lot of practice to remember that copper had variable valency of 1 and 2. Iron had variable valency of 2 and 3. Silver had variable valency of 1 and 2. Lead had variable valency of 2 and 4. Tin had variable valency of 2 and 4. Mercury had variable valency of 1 and 2. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Now, there are few elements which you will meet again and again on daily basis. So for example, copper, silver, iron. These are the people that you will usually meet again and again. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
So slowly you will start remembering the variable valencies of these these cations. Have you understood?
Yes.
Now, another thing that you need to understand is that the variable valency is usually represented as like this. Have you understood?
Yeah.
This will tell you that in a certain compound, what is the valency being shown by copper. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
See, I'm telling you, you'll have to see this video again, maybe twice or thrice. Only then you'll be able to understand.
Okay.
Any doubt till here?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, till here, basically, a compound. One second, Mr. Satya. One second. Okay. So till now, what we have done is we have, to a certain degree, understood the concept of valency, which is the combining capacity. Mr. Satya, have you understood 80% of the lecture till now?
Sir.
Okay. Now, another thing that you need to understand is that chemical formula, and I'll focus on the ionic compounds because they are a bit easy to understand, and you'll understand why. Any chemical formula would have two parts. The first part would be positive, the second would be negative. What it implies is that the cation will come first and the anion will come later. Mr. Satya, any doubt?
No, sir.
Mr. Satya, do we remember what is anion and cation, or have we forgotten?
Yes, sir.
So, if you remember, we had made a mnemonic also that a cation has a positive. So, Na plus would be a cation, and an anion has a negative. So, Cl minus would be a anion. Do you remember?
Yes, sir.
And what I'm trying to tell you now, what I'm trying to explain to you now is that if we have NaCl, most of the ionic compounds will have the first part would be positive and the second part would be negative. Do we have any doubt till here?
No, sir.
Sir, if there is a doubt, please let me know now.
No, sir. I don't have any.
Okay. So you don't know anything about these compounds, and it is absolutely okay. No problem. Just what I want to know is that this would be positive or negative, Mr. Satya. I'm telling you that all these are ionic compounds. This is the information being given to you. So this Cu would be positive or negative, Mr. Satya? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
The first part is positive. The second part is negative. Are we clear about this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this part would be
Positive.
shabash. And this part would be
Negative.
Are we clear about this?
Yes, sir.
No. What is the meaning of this and this? You forget about that. Not required now. But by the time the lecture finishes, you'll understand that what is this. This part would be positive or negative?
It's a positive.
Positive. And this part would be
Negative.
Are we clear till here?
Yes, sir.
This part would be
Positive.
shabash. And this part would be
Negative.
shabash. This part would be
Positive.
and this part would be
Negative.
Mr. Satya, any doubt till here?
No, sir.
So I think it should be clear that the first part would always be positive and the second part would be negative. Any doubt till here?
No, sir.
See, this is the format that is followed. So for example, if you want my full name, first would be my unique word, second would be my father's name, the third would be the family surname. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Now, if we were in South India, what they do is they write the name of the village also. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
So for example, my name as per this format would be, this would be my name, this would be my father's name, this is my family name, and this is the, the village our family comes from. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
So my full name would be Navneet AMK. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Now, have you understood why South Indians usually write their second part as abbreviations only? Have you understood that?
Yes, sir.
Because otherwise the name becomes very long. But so for example, I don't write my full name. Usually the name in my records is Navneet Maini. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
And another thing is that, so for example, my mother won't call me Navneet Maini. She'll have some pet name for me. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
So what I'm trying to tell you is that like we have name formats, we have date formats. So for example, in India, we write the date, the month, the year. But as I understand, in foreign countries, they write, in US, they write the month first and the date second and the year next. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
So similarly, in chemistry, there are some formats which are formed. So for example, ionic compounds, you will have the positive part first and the negative part later. Have you understood earlier?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Satya, any doubt earlier?
No, sir.
Okay, now let us try to understand another thing. So I think what you would be clear about is, so for example, if you look at this list, now, I hope what you are very clear is, so for example, if you look at this list, the positive part, what you would be very comfortable is dealing with people like sodium, potassium, hydrogen, magnesium, calcium, barium, aluminium. You would be very comfortable with them. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Because they are part of the first 20. But when dealing with copper, silver, mercury, zinc, nickel, copper, iron, lead, tin, silver, mercury, manganese, iron, chromium, tin, platinum, you would be uncomfortable because these are not part of the first 20 elements. Have you understood what I said now?
Yes, sir.
So roughly, if we have, a periodic table like these, a rough format of the periodic table, what we usually deal with is the first 20 elements till class 10th. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
So the valencies are pretty simple because I can look at the electronic configuration and find the valencies. But for rest of them, you will have to, gradually cram the valencies. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
And especially people like copper, silver, zinc, nickel, copper, which you will meet often. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
So these are the people whose valency you will have to cram because these are the people you will meet a lot. Any doubt till here?
No, sir.
So these are the cations. Any doubt till here, Mr. Satya?
No, sir.
Okay. Now let us look at the negative parts. In negative part, you are pretty clear about, you would be very comfortable dealing with the, let us say, chlorine, and let us say oxygen, sulfur, nitrogen. You'll be comfortable with these. But then when you meet people like these are new people that you haven't met till date in class 8. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Now, again, what I'm suggesting is that because we will be meeting these people time and again, there'll be people from here which you'll have to cram. So for example, nitrate, nitrite, how do you write nitrate? NO3, nitrite, NO2. Let us take sulfite, sulfate, carbonate, and phosphate. So these are the people which you will meet often. And so for example, if I say carbonate, you should be very comfortable in telling me that carbonate looks like this. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt till here?
No, sir.
And now let us try to understand that what does this 2 negative, which is on the head of carbonate, implies. Have you understood the question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let us try to understand this from looking at these people. So for example, when I look at Ag plus, what this implies is that Ag would have given away 1 electron. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
So when I look at somebody, this is lead. When I look at Pb2 plus, what I understand is that lead would have given out 2 electrons. That is why it has become a cation. Have you understood what I said?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt here?
No, sir.
Now, when you look at platinum plus 4, you will understand that this Pt plus 4 has given out 4 electrons. That is why it has become Pt plus 4. We have discussed this in detail in anions and cations. Have you understood it now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now let us look at something called phosphate. PO4 3 negative. See, what I'm trying to tell you is that when you look at this group, what you can, for your understanding, what you can keep in mind is that as a group, phosphate has taken 3 electrons. That is why you see this charge of -3. Mr. Satya, any doubt?
No, sir.
See, first time these concepts are a bit difficult. That is why I'm repeating that you'll have to see this video again. So for example, when I look at carbonate, what does this imply? This implies that as a group, carbonate has taken 2 electrons from outside. That is why this is the charge. Any doubt till here, Mr. Satya?
No, sir.
And in technical terms, what we will say is that valency of carbonate, valency of phosphate, valency of sulfate. So this is phosphate, this is carbonate, this is sulfate. So the valency is the combining power, and the combining power is this. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Or still there is a doubt?
No, sir.
So the valency of carbonate is -2. The valency of phosphate is a -3. The valency of sulfate is a -2. Any doubt till here?
No, sir.
So if there is a doubt, please let me know.
No doubt, sir.
So don't see, usually when we see a table like this, the first time we look at table like this, usually students get very stressed कि सर ये सारे के सारे याद करने पड़ेंगे. सत्य आपको मेरी बात समझ आ रही?
Yes, sir.
So the first thing that people think is अरे सर ये तो बहुत ज्यादा है, ये कैसे याद होंगे? But what I'm trying to tell you is that once we do lot of exercises, basically I'll tell you the kind of exercises we do. What we do is we try to make tables like these using the crisscross method. You know what is the crisscross method?
Yes,
You
sir.
have heard about the crisscross method, no?
Yes, sir.
So I'll tell you how does that crisscross method work. But what I'm trying to tell you is that when I give you this to complete this, and when I tell you to complete this, you'll do a lot of practice, and that practice will make you learn most of the valencies of these cations and anions. Any doubt till here?
No, sir.
तो कुछ इजी है जो आप बार बार करेंगे वो तो आपको याद होने शुरू हो जाएंगे. इट इज लाइक यू गो टू द फर्स्ट टाइम यू हैड गॉन टू योर स्कूल. तो in the first week you usually remember the name of 3-4 boys or girls or whatever, but in 1 month you remember the name of every student in your class. Mr. Satya, have you understood what I said?
Yes, sir.
So we go by this definition. A radical is an atom of an element or a group of atoms of different elements that behave as a single unit with a positive or negative charge on it. So what they are trying to tell you is that Mg+2, Cl negative, carbonate negative, ammonia, all of these are radicals. Any doubt?
No, sir.
So this would be positive radical, this would be negative radical, positive radical. Any doubt here?
No, sir.
So this is a cation, this is a cation, this is an anion, this is an anion. Any doubt here?
No, sir.
So they have given the definition of basic radical and acid radical also. Basically what it means is that all positive, if you have a positive charge, you'll be called a basic radical. If you have a negative charge, you'll be called an acid radical. Any doubt here?
No, sir.
Any doubt here, Mr. Satya?
No, sir.
Okay. Now we'll start with simple examples. Once you get comfortable, we'll move on to the difficult examples. Okay. Now let us understand how does your crisscross method work. One second, Mr. Satya. So we have Al+3 here, Na+ here, Mg+2 here, Ca+2 here. If you have observed, basically what we have is we have the cations here. Any doubt?
No, sir.
We have oxide, sulfide, nitride, chloride, phosphide here. Basically we have anions here. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Now we will use these two. We will use this table to understand how does the crisscross method work. This is a very simple table. You will understand in few minutes. Yeah. Basically, if I have to form a compound of aluminium, this and this, what do? I write Al, I write oxygen, I write their valencies below, and then I do a crisscross like this. Basically, what this means is that Al will have a 2 below it and oxygen will have a 3 below it. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Is it confusing?
No, sir.
Let us take another example. So Al3 and let us take nitride. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
So if I do a crisscross, then Al3 and N3. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Now, actually, if it is an ionic compound, then you need to write only the ratios. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Are we compatible till here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Al+3 and chlorine. How do I write this? Al and chlorine, the valency of aluminium, the valency of chlorine. I do a crisscross. So Al1 and Cl3. Any doubt till here?
No, sir.
And this 1 is not written, like we don't write 1x in algebra, we only write x. So similarly, this 1 is ignored and we write only AlCl3. This is a any doubt?
No, sir.
Let us take another example. Let us take sodium and nitrogen. So sodium and nitrogen. Sodium is 1, nitrogen is 3. We do crisscross, Na3 and nitrogen 1. So this will be Na3N. Any doubt?
No, sir.
See, Mr. Satya, don't worry whether the compound will be formed or not. We just want to understand how the naming is done, how the structure is written. Any doubt here?
No, sir.
Let us take Mg+2 and P-3. P-3, see, if you see, P-3 is phosphide, Cl- is chloride, N-3 is nitride, S-2 is sulfide, O-2 is oxide. So we are taking the example of Ca+2 and phosphide. We want to make a formula. What will I do? Ca2 phosphorus 3. I do crisscross. So Ca3 and P2. Ca3 P2. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Mr. Satya, if there is a doubt, please let me know.
No doubt, sir.
So if you have understood, it is, I can write this as ALO. I'll just go through this. You need to practice this. You need to practice, and without looking at the answers, you need to So should we start? Mr. Satya, what should I write here?
Sir, 2.
What should I write here?
3.
Here.
2.
Here.
3.
Here.
3.
Here.
3. 1. 3. 3. 3. Then 2. 1. 2. 1. 3. 1. 1. 1. 3. 1. 2. 2. 2. 2. 3. 2. 1. 2. 3. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 3. 2. 1. 2. 3. 2.
Any doubt?
No, sir.
And of course, we understand that you just need to take the ratios. So whenever you have to take the ratios, and usually the one is not written. Have you understood the logic?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt?
No, sir.
So this one is not written. You won't find Na1Cl negative. Have you understood what I've said?
Yes, sir.
So you won't find MgO2, Mg2O2. You will just find MgO because they are taking out the ratios. Which is any doubt?
No, sir.
So these are simple questions because if you have observed, I've taken only the first 20. The anions and the cations both belong to the first 20. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So here the valencies are pretty obvious. But where you need to cram. Any doubt till here, Satya?
No, sir.
So what I'm suggesting is that, without looking at the answers, you should be able to do these questions. So for example, you can pause the video at this point and try to write the answers. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Now, this table was for the first 20 elements. And this is the difficult part where you have to remember the valencies. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
But the procedure remains the same. Procedure में कोई वो नहीं है. Difficulty नहीं है. So for example, let us take any random. Let us take iron 3 and try to form. And don't worry whether the compound is found or not. We just want to practice. Any doubt?
No, sir.
So iron की valency 3, carbonate has a valency of 2. I do crisscross. Now when you do crisscross, there is one thing that you just need to understand, that iron will have this 2 here, but when you write carbonate, just put a bracket here because this 3 is shared by this carbonate. Have you understood what I said?
Yes, sir.
तो ऐसे मत लिखिए, ऐसे मेरी बात समझ आई? नहीं तो 33 बन जाएगा. नहीं समझा?
समझ आया, सर.
और आपने दिमाग और ज्यादा लगाया तो ये 9 कर दोगे आप, 3 into 3 9 करके. नहीं समझा?
समझ आया, सर.
बेटा कोई डाउट तो नहीं है?
No doubt, sir.
So let us take few more examples. So let us take any random example here, Cu plus 2, and let us take this NO3 negative. So the valency of copper is written below it. The valency of this is nitrate. It's written below it. Crisscross implies that the valencies get exchanged. Any doubt?
No, sir.
And one thing that we need to remember is कि इसको bracket डाल के फिर 2 लिखना है. या तो कोई doubt?
No, sir.
And then of course we need to forget about this, and this would be written as CuNO3 twice. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Let's take another example. Let us take example this. Yeah. So Pb की valency उसके नीचे लिख दी आपने, और phosphate की valency below it. Any doubt? Crisscross कीजिए.
No.
Pb3 phosphate 4. Any doubt?
No, sir.
And just remember the fundamental rule that the positive party will come first, the cation will come first, and the anion will come later. Any doubt, Mr. Satya?
No, sir.
So, Mr. Satya, the homework is you need to complete this table and you need to send it to me. Any doubt?
Okay, sir. No, sir.
You'll be able to do it.
Yes, sir.
And there are a few questions that you can do from here also, the other PDF also. 1 second. Satya, have you understood the logic?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you look at the video again, you will understand things that we had missed. So this book also has few examples. You can look at these also. Yeah. So you can see the examples. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Try to do these questions also. Try to do these questions.
Okay, sir.
Any doubt?
No, sir.
So this is another homework. This is an easy homework. You'll be able to do that. There won't be any issue. And yeah, that is it. Any doubt?
No, sir.
So have you understood what is the crisscross method?
Yes, sir.
So this is all that is there in crisscross method. That, and this is how the formulas are written. That I'll explain one of the formulas. So for example, ammonia has a valency of 1 and sulfate has a valency of 2. Crisscross. This is what they have done here. So NH4 would have to be taken twice and sulfate is taken once. Any doubt?
No, sir.
And that is what they are writing here. Letting know the base of sulfate as it is 1, therefore the formula is ammonium sulfate. Mr. Satya, will you be able to do the homework?
Yes, sir.
And it'll help you a lot if you can, write all these valencies and stick it on your table so that you keep looking at these valencies. So that slowly you'll start remembering the valencies of the radicals. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, Mr. Satya. And yeah, one thing more, yeah. Just revise these 2 lectures. The cation anion also and the chemical bonding also.